Yo, what's poppin', all my peeps? It is I, your host with the most Renaissance man. Ooh, yeah, Renaissance man who always thinks he can, and champion of all the peeps, Patty Pitts, here for another Smackdown breakdown. Uh, for with my guest, the host, the best of what you
What
cannot
is
forget
going
about.
on?
I don't know. I just had a brain fart. Best of what you cannot forget about Sara Marshall. Sara was popping
As-
because apparently I'm breaking down at the scene. This is what happens when you do 2.5 hours of stuff. So I'm gonna let you take the floor.
um,
How are we doing today? What's going on in your life?
Nothing. Just watching football, enjoying that the Bills lost. So that
Yeah,
was a good day.
I'm happy the Bengals won. If that makes, I'm not
I'm happy the
sad.
Bills lost
Okay.
because you will never catch me rooting for a divisional rival. Sorry, never in my life.
I only
So
feel that way about the Jets, to be honest.
I feel that way about every single team in the AFC East besides the Patriots. So
All right, fair enough.
yeah, no.
But we got a lot to talk about today with on the Smackdown breakdown because we didn't get to record yesterday with the NFL playoffs are happening, and Sara and I aren't
Mr.
just
Popular.
and I am Mr. Popular, had to go out and be with the peeps, but we make it happen. So I also wanted to get my thoughts because Sara, it was a very good Smackdown. I'm not gonna say, actually, I'm gonna throw this word out. I would say it was a historical SmackDown for certain
Oh,
purposes.
okay.
I think it was a historical one because it is going to be it's going to be a SmackDown that we hear about for years because this is going to be the straw that broke the camel's back with Sami Zayn in the
Oh,
Bloodline.
oh, okay. So you want to just jump right into it?
Well, you go. What I mean, they
Let's
did
jump.
start out right.
Yes.
Oh,
So
okay,
what
yeah, they came
exactly
out. Yeah.
is what's going on? So just to recap for anyone who has missed it. The show started off with the bloodline, of course, like they have been arriving at the arena. And as they were standing out there, Roman would not fist bump Sammy. So that sparked the entire storyline for the rest of the show. Sammy later asked Roman if they could talk. Reigns told him, like, okay, go ahead and sit down, let's talk, whatever. Asked him what's up. Sammy said, I couldn't help but notice that you seemed a little frosty when we were arriving,
Where you use the word
whatever.
philosophy.
Said nothing was wrong. And Roman was like, I know that you're lying, like just be honest with me. So Sammy said that he was bothered about how SmackDown last week had ended because he felt like he had things under control with Kevin Owens, and he was upset that he was not told about the plan with the Usos and Solo Sikoa coming out to get the DQ, basically. And he felt slighted that he was not told. And he ends it by saying, well, like Kevin keeps telling me that I'm being used, and for a split second, like I just felt like it. And so Roman gets pissed. And I noticed this too. Like Roman is doing this character so well. Like
It's incredible.
it's
It
not
really
that
is.
I hadn't thought it before, but I feel, we give a lot of credit to Sammy, and I've said it multiple times that he's really good at the subtle things that make it very believable, and like things that I think people would do in that situation had it been real life. And the way he's just very emotional or emotes that emotion like in his face. It's not just with his words. But Roman has gotten so much better at speaking and just becoming believable. And I felt like this was like a very good moment for that. So he gets pissed off, tells Sammy to get out, says that, I don't need to be having this conversation with you every single week. I don't need to check in with you. I don't need to tell you everything that I decide to do. I don't need you to know all of the plans. And he says, stop using me and go and get your own bloodline. So that was like, whoa, okay. So basically, what we had been saying that we felt like was building up for the past couple weeks. And so it was like, okay, how is the rest of this going to play out? What were your initial thoughts when this, like with the beginning, before getting into the rest? Because we're going to talk about that in a second.
Just what you
Yeah.
broke down. What are my
React.
thoughts
Like,
on
what
it?
was your
Yes.
reaction
Okay.
to that
Okay.
part?
It was genuine. I like. I don't. zero in on feuds like this a lot because I mean, from what I've seen in the past, but with this feud, I always am glued to the television and want, I'm looking for what is going to happen next. And you hit the nail right in the head with Roman improving. And,
Yeah.
it was like he went from being Roman Reigns the wrestler to no, he is the tribal chief. Like, when I say
Mhm.
he is the tribal chief.
Yeah.
And the way that he flipped out and, got mad at Sammy, he coulda went over the top and screamed and big like, "I'm the dog," and rah,
Yeah.
but the way he flipped out was very realistic. Like, it was like you really pinched a nerve, and you don't need to go that octave and yell to
Yeah.
you're angry, and that's where it if you are able to do that, it's incredible, and for him to flip out like that and the word choices that he used, get your own bloodline. I'm sick of doing this week in and week out. Just get out, all that. And when he leaves, obviously he leaves, and then the wise man and Roman
Yeah.
are talking. Am I jumping ahead?
Yeah.
Because okay. Uh
So after that, we're gonna talk about the entire
yeah, but
show regarding regarding the bloodline. So later, Roman and Heyman start talking, and he asks like, "Can you believe him?" Roman says that to Heyman and asks for his opinion basically, and that's when Heyman says that he never liked Sammy and was never really on board with him joining forces with the bloodline,
great,
but
great
that
segue.
because he supports his tribal chief, then he was like, okay, well that's fine. But he said, as far as going forward, it seems like it would be a better idea to have Sammy on their side, defending them, particularly before the match at the Royal Rumble against Kevin Owens, than kicking him out basically now and having him fight against them, especially as they lead up to the Royal Rumble. So then Heyman goes and gets Sammy, says Roman wants to speak to you. Sammy gets back there, and Roman just goes on about how he has a temper and basically apologizes to Sammy for the lack of communication and says, like, okay, I get it. Like, you just wanted to be a part of the team. I just wanted to be in the know. And Sammy thanks Roman for understanding, tells him, go, I don't want to be here. Go and get the plane, the jet ready, and blah, 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 because they were going to go out and do the contract signing, which became this whole other
Yeah,
debacle.
and we'll wait for that to talk
Yeah.
about. But
Yeah.
from this point, when he brings him in, and this is where the master manipulator character Roman's
Mm-hmm.
doing is so good. Back to the word choices he's using and the way he's just hitting these key words so that it reassures Sammy that it's just my temper, and he said, mentioning his temper. Well, he had Jay use Sammy as his guy to calm his temper. That's going
Mm-hmm.
to maybe signal to Sammy, oh, maybe I'm going to be his temper guy. And that's my role. Like, he's just, and not just one example of the many things he said, but that stands out to me that he's using these things that, to keep him in. And this is where the story gets so good with this. And it's unbelievable how they gave you a little bit of insight, or gave us, excuse me, of a little bit of insight with the reasoning behind why did Roman say what he said,
Mm-hmm.
with their his conversation with Paul Heyman, and it's finally giving us that, okay, all right, we're getting that signal, it's coming to an end soon, we don't know when, but it's coming to an end, and that's all we want, I would say. And that's why the storytelling, the writing in this, everything is going so well, because they're not showing too much. They're giving us exactly what we need to be doing, exactly what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Just kind of uh, giving our own thoughts about what the next step is, and that's exactly what the job was for them to do.
Well, and I think that it is one of those things that we're going to keep going back to all of the things that have led up to this moment. So it's like, okay, so originally they didn't want Sammy, and Roman was just kind of like treating him, like the little brother that just kept following you around and you were just so annoyed with him.
Yeah,
And then he
yeah.
finally caves and lets him in. And then, there's all these instances where he's getting annoyed and lashing out at him. So it's like, okay, what is going on here? What's the underlying issue? Because it's like, this isn't just coming out of nowhere. So it makes you wonder, at least for me, it's made me wonder, like, okay, so was this all a manipulation tactic to begin with? Like, were they ever really in on Sammy being with them? Or was it just like, okay, well, I don't want this person to try and get my title, so having Sammy around helps be a buffer or something, or
Mm-hmm.
if there was like a bigger picture involved with why they were bringing Sammy in. Like, that's at least where my mind goes, because
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't, I don't know, it just, there's something going on and it's hard for me to put a finger on it. I mean, not to mention, I feel like the creative team doesn't even know what's going on, because they had the acknowledgement ceremony planned for Raw 30 on Monday, tomorrow. And then they abruptly canceled that and are now having the trial of Sami Zayn. And they're like, due to the events of Friday Night Smackdown, we're going to have the trial of Sami. And I'm like, I feel like they just don't know where they're
No,
going
no,
yet.
no, because, and
It
I would
makes
agree
hold
with
on.
you.
Well, it makes sense, but I'm saying, like, then everyone, when the acknowledgement ceremony was announced, like, everyone was excited about who was going to be there, and what if The Rock was there, and what if this, and then you're like, oh, by the way, LOL, we're just joking. So that's what I mean. Like, there's a little
No,
bit just, I mean, there were
they
people who saying,
mention
should I
all the
go?
no. They mention all Bloodline members will be there.
Oh, they said that? Okay, so, but
So that's
okay.
my thinking, is that because all Bloodline members are going to be there of
So
the
what?
Anoa'i family, it's more of a, all right, they're going to do this acknowledgement ceremony, which when you heard of acknowledgement ceremony, like, what the hell is an acknowledgement ceremony? Where now it's, I think that was in place is a throw off, as a red herring, and the trial of Sami Zayn was going to be the real event plan for that night. And that's where, they couldn't announce it, obviously, because of SmackDown. But
Mhm.
now with this shit going on, and this is where we could see, The Rock come out or another member come out, and it's gives them more of a reason to, and a better, plans for the future, I'd say, to set up matches and whatnot with them. So I see the reasoning, and I do like that now. I'm gonna be a believer who says that I don't think the acknowledgement ceremony was ever gonna happen, and that this was the initial plan to begin with.
You know what I would love?
What?
I would love for The Rock to show up. But because there's so many stories downplaying his involvement in Mania, which I don't understand why people don't understand why they're saying it. So they're saying, oh, The Rock isn't going to be in shape. And then they're posting pictures of him from his Instagram being like, how is this not in shape? I'm like, because being in shape, like physically fit, is not the same as being in wrestling shape. Like, I
Nope.
don't understand how people don't understand that. So it's like, he's in shape to do action movies. He's not in shape to be go running the ropes and flipping and doing all this. Like, it's possible that he actually can't have the time to wrestle, right? But what if he does show up tomorrow, but he sides with Sammy?
That's
Because
I think he's gonna side. He has to side with Sammy.
so that way it could still set up Sammy versus Roman at Mania, but The Rock will still be there in Sammy's corner. I like that a lot more, because it's like, I mean, obviously, I've said it forever that I didn't want The Rock in a match. So it's like, I didn't want him wrestling for the championships and whatever. And I understand if it was just a match, I'm all for it. But if it's for the titles, no, I'm not. I'm not down with it. But if he's in Sammy's corner, because I just think Sammy winning at Mania, both titles or even just one title, I can already imagine the pop that will get, the goosebumps that people will have. Like, that is going to be one of the most iconic moments in my mind of wrestling for a long time. And I feel like that's more iconic than The Rock doing it, because everyone knows, like, that's short-lived. It's just to be like,
Yeah.
okay, but like Sammy doing it after overcoming all of this, and who knows, like, if they out him tomorrow out of the bloodline, imagine the type of stuff that they're going to try and put him through between now and Mania. Like, it's going to be bad. So then you're going to be so behind Sammy, and then him facing Roman at Mania, dude. That has the potential to be like the match of the year, and we haven't even seen it yet.
What if? And okay, I love everything you're saying. It's like McDonald's fries. I just keep feeding them to me.
Mhm.
Where now my mind's going, what if The Rock comes out tonight and you think he's going to come out and support Sammy, but he throws him under the bus and he's like, this is your tribal chief, or whatever catchphrase he wants to use that night or put on a t-shirt. And then we get to Mania. The point is
And he turns on
whatever he
Roman.
does is not going to ruin Sami Zayn Mania match. Like,
Right.
it's
If
just going
anything,
to
it would get
enhance
them. But see, this is the thing too. It depends on what direction they would want The Rock to go in. Do they really want to bring
And-
back heel Rock?
No, but here's Sarah. This is where, because not done yet with my prediction.
Sorry.
Sammy wins the Rumble. Obviously, we want it. It's gonna happen. Make it
I
the
hope
year.
so.
Sami Zayn. Like, who cares? Okay,
hope-
that's
yeah.
obvious. We want that obvious. Where the obvious we don't want is, what if The Rock is like so anti-Sammy along with Roman, and we finally get the two heads of the table, who you think they'd butt heads, but they're just best of friends. And then come Mania, when Roman wants The Rock to help him out, he hits him with a rock bottom, or the most electrifying move in sports entertainment today, the people's elbow.
What a
Don't
mark.
you dare roll it. Don't you dare roll your eyes.
You're such
when
a
I talk about
mark.
the people's elbow. It is. Hello. Of course I'm a mark. I have to look at this. I bought this when I was 5. They still
Oh my
have it.
goodness. Well, anyway,
I was destined to be the people's champ of the peeps. Excuse me.
I would I'm not against it. I'm not against that. I'm for his involvement as long as it's not a match. And I've said that from the beginning. If it's a match, it's not for the titles. I'm fine. But I just feel like, I think he's going to be involved at some point because, it's been rumored that they wanted him involved, especially now that they're back in Hollywood. Like, it makes sense. I mean, Rock was even at, like, was it last football season or was it at the Super Bowl where he, like, announced the Rams? Like, he has no connection to the Rams, but, like,
The Rock has no connection to everything except that he is in everything.
Well, and so that's what I mean. Like, so he's probably going to be at Mania regardless. But yeah, no, I think that would be pretty cool. And I feel like that's the ultimate putting over Sammy. You know what I mean? Like, for The Rock to do it, like, it would be super iconic. And you know what? I'm actually not mad about. So obviously we think that they're going to split the titles. So I wouldn't hate for Owens to win one of the championships. And I wouldn't hate him feuding with Cody because of the storyline there. I wouldn't hate that. And I wouldn't hate if, like, and it's a problem because I feel like it would be more, as much as I want Sammy to win the Rumble, I feel like he could get a match against Roman without winning the Rumble. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah,
I don't know. They're going to have to split the titles anyway because it's just not working. I mean, obviously they're even talking about splitting the tag titles, so they're going to have to do it with the WWE titles. But yeah, I feel like there's so much to look forward to because it's very unpredictable right now. But I really hope they go with one of our theories or one of our ideas because I really don't want it to be like, oh, The Rock is going to be like, I'm the real tribal chief. Well, I'm going to have a match against you to show you that I am. And it's like, no one cares.
No, they would.
And when I say no one, I mean me. What?
No, I will say I only disagree with the not for a title. Like, because I saw The Rock as champion where I can remember it when he would, with the CM Punk shit. So I don't care anymore about seeing him as champion again. That's not where he is right now. I want to see him coming back to WWE for a purpose, if that makes sense. I want it to be for a reason to help something and not just because, I want to come back and it's a me thing. This is where he's at in the stage of his career where he doesn't come back for him. He comes back to enhance other things. Yeah. And this would be a perfect thing for him to enhance.
Well, it's like what John Cena does. John Cena comes back and helps people over. So I feel like that would be really cool. It's not like that Sammy needs it, but it's not like Roman needs it. Roman doesn't need more heel heat, nor does he need to be put over. So, like, he's the face of the company now. So it's like, it would be helping Sammy if anything. But I feel like that could just be like a really good match for Triple H's first WrestleMania. I think that would be there, and there's so much that you can do between now and Mania, between that storyline, that makes it interesting, because you can also make it look like the bloodline is falling apart, like maybe he drops one of the titles, and same thing with the Usos, and then it's like, oh, but then he has the support from The Rock, so like whatever, I don't know. I'm really excited for it. And then you want to talk about the main event, like the
let's build. Let's talk about the tag stuff first, or unless
okay,
because
no, it's
I
fine.
just feel like
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about the tag team tournament, which was all of the matches on SmackDown, which I'm not like mad about. I feel like we had some good ones. So of course we had the Banger Bros, such a stupid name. Sheamus and McIntyre versus no one cares about Raiders. My notes are the Raiders
are
lame.
Feel, girl. Tell me how you feel.
So no, these are my notes, okay? The Raiders are lame as fuck. The Raiders are lame as fuck. Nobody cares. And why are Sarah Logan's fingers painted black? And why is she wearing antlers? Those are my.
She's Valhalla.
What is that?
Valhalla is like where war heroes go when they die.
But like, why do we care?
That's their gimmick. They're the Viking raiders who. But
why does anyone care? Is what I'm saying. Okay, is there anyone that's like, yeah? Is there any? Okay, this is the thing. They're supposed to be heels. But even heels are supposed to get you to pay attention. They're even supposed to be like drawing interest, like even because you're supposed to hate them, which I guess in that way they're doing their job in my way. But at the same time, it's like, I don't hate them because they're hateable. I hate them because it's stupid. Like, it's just dumb. So, anyway, I mean, that was an okay match. It was whatever. Banger Bros won.
We're gonna win.
Yeah, they won by a brogue kick. We also saw Hit Row versus Los Lotharios, which I think, again, we knew what was going to happen there. It was Hit Row.
I do love them. I'm sorry. I'm on Team Hit Row, especially because Top Dollar responded to me, and that was a highlight of my week.
We also saw Legado del Fantasma versus the Maximum Male Models, as if we had no idea what that result was going to be. Obviously the Maximum Male Models won. No, I'm just kidding. They lost, obviously. And then we also saw...
hold on. Okay, yeah, finish this and then I'll ask you my question.
Okay, and then we also saw the Brawling Brutes versus Imperium, which of course we knew that Imperium was going to win because the Brawling Brutes were not going to face the Banger Bros. Like, that was never going to happen either. So that was just like very good match. I want to shout them out because obviously I am a big Imperium fan, and I was just talking about how I wanted to see more of Vinci, and so we finally got that. But the two of them are so good in the ring too, like, because they're legitimate tag team partners, I guess, at this point. But yeah, so I enjoyed that match as well. And I don't know if you caught their backstage interview. It was in full German, I think. So that was pretty cool. But anyway, what were you gonna say? What are your thoughts on all
What
this?
are your thoughts on Selena Vega on commentary?
I thought it was funny.
I think she's amazing. Yeah, continue.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed her. I felt like it felt very kind of like old school to me, like the way that she was talking, just being like, oh, like, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I like her in this mix. Like, I'm not familiar with the girl that was originally in Legado del Fantasma and NXT. I'm not familiar with her. So I can't speak to like, oh, Zelina's better than her. But I can understand why they put Zelina in that place. I think she's really good as a heel and good as, an extra piece to the stable.
She's such a critical piece to Legado del Fantasma.
It's like Rhea Ripley to Judgment Day. It's
yeah, exactly.
Them. Yeah.
And they had another girl, and I'm not going to pretend like I knew who she was, but beforehand, and they were still great in NXT, but that's the difference with the main roster in NXT is that you're going to have people, obviously, who, followed them from the beginning of NXT who are like, oh, why didn't they bring her up? Which I don't know her name. And why they put her with, why they put Selena Vega with them. And to them, I'm going to give you that answer. It's because once you get to that main roster, you need an upgrade to whatever you got. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's the whole point of it, is not to bring everything that you did in NXT. It's what you got that got you there, and then how can we enhance it to make it main roster material? And Zelina
Yeah.
Vega is main roster material anywhere she goes. To put her in Legado Fantasma, it only gives them credit, and it's like, oh, they're going to be, maybe not right now champions, but they're going to be a dominant tag team within the SmackDown division for a decent amount of time, because Lena Vega is such a great manager, let
Mm-hmm.
alone what she can do in the ring. And that's what you need for a tag team faction to really get over. And I would not be surprised within the next year we see Legado and Hit Row being the two tag teams on SmackDown that are just constantly at each other's throats.
Yeah, I feel like they're both capable of um like a war of words. Like I feel like they would both be really good cutting promos against each other and whatnot. I feel like that would be pretty entertaining.
Yes.
But now that we're down to the final four, what do you think is going to happen? Who do you think is going to be the ones to face the Usos for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships?
All right, my gut is telling me it's gonna be Drew McIntyre and Sheamus again, and I can't do that. So I'm gonna be happy and positive and try to manifest this. Give me Imperium.
I know. Oh my god. This
Give
is a
me
think about this. Think
Imperium.
about not even just Imperium, right? At least we love Imperium.
We love Imperium here.
Imperium and Gunther versus Roman and the Usos. Like, what a fantastic matchup that would be. Not even it doesn't have to be a 6-man tag or anything, but like, the leader with his people versus the leader and his people. Like, that would be pretty sick. And they would have banger matches.
Oh my god, Gunther is destined to be a WWE champion
I
at
know.
some point, and Imperium to me is the hottest faction in wrestling in WWE right now. Not that
Literally
type.
and figuratively.
Not that type, girl. All
Literally
right.
and figuratively. Is what
But
you
they
mean.
in the entire company behind the bloodline. If there were no bloodline, Imperium's number one. They're just they're so good.
I know.
And that's what I love about them, is that you believe, like, if I saw, Vinci or Ludwig on the side of the road, I would just be like, you're Imperium. You like, they are who they are,
Yeah.
and that's what makes a great character, a great wrestler. And that's why they're so like everything from this and
Mm-hmm.
their, brutal style, and just it's the synergy. They all come out like same time. There's no dysfunction. They're awesome.
I think
They're
it's also
so
like
cool.
the arrogance that they exude too. I think that's what I like about them also speaking in all these other languages, because it's such an arrogant thing,
Oh,
because it's like we're so
absolutely.
worldly and like, look at us, we're better than you and we're so intelligent and whatever. Like, I love that aspect. And this is the thing, it plays right into my heart anyway, because I love heels. I'm the heel girl here. So I love that. But I do love that Triple H is using the NXT talent as well as he is so far, because that was always a concern, as we've talked about with Vince. And even though Triple H isn't working down in NXT anymore, he recognizes talent is talent. And so it's nice to see Imperium not be brought up and then thrown aside, or all these other ones, so Legado del Fantasma, Hit Row, like all these other people that were down in NXT, they're actually being featured on a weekly basis. So that is very cool.
It's
So I do hope it's Imperium versus the Usos. Oh my god. I can't. I don't want to get my hopes up, but that's just like me getting my hopes up. Okay. Cause
I
like
just witnessed like a thought come into your head where it was a bliss moment for you.
Vinci.
Vinci holding gold.
Yeah. I was like, he would look good with a blue SmackDown tag title. Yes. So hopefully
There we go.
those are my thoughts too. That's what I hope. But we shall see, because I think the matches will continue next week. So then that'll be the final two, unless they're going to do the whole thing. I don't know. I don't know what their plans are, but
Yeah, because I was thinking about that actually.
well, because I think they're
Where
trying to build up SmackDown to be like really big next week too, even though it's the Raw anniversary, it seems like they're trying to make SmackDown like feel as important. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try to do all of it next week and then be like, okay, then we're facing the Usos. I don't know. And is it supposed to be facing the Usos at Rumble?
And that's what I'm confused about too. Like, are we gonna?
Well, wait,
Yep.
they're doing the Raw tag team titles on Monday, so tomorrow against Judgment Day. So then that would mean that I don't believe they have a match at Rumble yet. So maybe if they finish whoever it is on SmackDown, then they have them do it on
No, they
Saturday.
wouldn't do the Rumble because the Rumble match, like, I honestly have a feeling that we're gonna have maybe 5 matches at the Rumble.
Well, yeah, the Rumble's going to be longer.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
Like,
it's always
I
at
don't think there'll be
least an
time.
hour.
I don't think there'll be time for a tag team title match. So
Yeah.
that's why I don't,
So
and obviously they wouldn't be in the Rumble.
well, and they probably won't. I mean, I would not be at all shocked if tomorrow they lose the Raw tag titles to Judgment Day. So if the plan is to eventually have them lose for the SmackDown ones, then I don't think that would happen at Rumble. But maybe they win on Monday and lose on I don't know. We'll have to see. It depends on what they're really trying to do. Because I think putting the tag titles on Judgment Day is a really good move to get them heel
Great
heat.
move. It's a really good move.
Especially for Dominic.
Oh my god, what if Dominic becomes a
But
tag champion?
that's what I mean. Like, he's going to get nuclear heat.
This is what prison did to me.
Oh my
I
God.
went to prison and served my hard time, and I came out a champion.
Yeah. Ew.
I did it for you, Paw.
Okay, stop. So, another great moment of SmackDown was the return of the Firefly Funhouse. But leading up to that, first we had LA Knight cut a promo.
Okay.
In the ring before his match against Greg Jones, which is like the most bizarre, like, jobber generic name that I've ever heard. I was like, Triple H is around, because Vince would never let that name fly. Like, he would have come up when he would have been like, I don't know, Gregory Zip or something. Like, it'd be something weird, like, it's not going to be the most generic name ever. So LA Knight cuts a promo. Obviously, we get all his catchphrases. And this, I watched it again today, and I know we've talked about it, but I was reading the comments of what people were saying, and it really is so reminiscent. I'm not saying that they are the same. So before people start like getting crazy, but he is or has the potential to be like this generation's Rock, and only because of how good he is on the mic, and it's so effortless. And there are times where people will try to incorporate catchphrases or certain terms or words, whatever, into what they're saying, and it just doesn't feel legitimate or like natural or whatever. You can tell that they were just trying to force it in there. And with him, it's like, no, that's literally him. Like, that's not. And it just, I don't know, it just works, like anyone else just coming out there and being like, yeah, it would just be like, okay, this guy's weird. Like, this is too much, but it works. Or let me talk to you,
Let me talk to you.
So
anyway, love that. I'm so, and, I was going to say something about him, but, you did know about he used to, or when the WWE 2K games were out.
Yes. You said that. Yes. He was yeah. I wish that he would also start saying like dummy. Yeah. I wish he would start saying that again, but I don't know. Maybe they're like, that's not PG. But
wait, was he saying that as Eli?
No, he was saying it in NXT.
Oh, in NXT did
he was
dummy,
saying dummy, yeah. But I also wanted, this is probably something that went over everyone else's head except for me, but like, are you noticing that they're not really having him wrestle like legitimate people, that they keep having him wrestle jobbers? So are they like wanting to hype up his first match, like his first legitimate match? Because I was like, why is he still fighting jobbers?
They want him to look so powerful at this point, and they're going with the old school tactic of throw this area's best indie guy or whatever to give him a shot, and face the incredible LA Knight. It's very old school in that way, where if they did that for everyone, it would be very cookie cutter and boring. But for now, it works with him because of the circumstance with his feud And how great is his first feud? Oh my
I
god.
know. I have to ask you something, so I have to try to remember. So,
Okay, right
at
there.
after this. Okay, so we talked, we're talking about this, right? And he says that he's gonna beat down Bray Wyatt at the Rumble, said he's gonna turn off his on switch, right? And then we get the return to the Firefly Fun House,
Your
and all
best.
the puppets, they all start waking up and they shake off the dust. And then we see Bray Wyatt's plumber crack covered by the
Incredible.
moth. Yeah. As he's finishing fixing the door to the fun house. And then Ramblin' Rabbit talks about how LA Knight is like the Miz, but with muscles, and that he's scared of the dark, and the pitch black match sounds very scary. And the favorite thing that Bray says, it says, what kind of ding dong names their son Los Angeles Knight? It's so stupid. And he tells the rabbit that it's normal to be afraid and things like to hide in the dark, so maybe you should be scared of the dark. And then Uncle Howdy appears laughing, blah 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 blah. So okay, so let me get your thoughts first on the return of the Firefly Funhouse, because I was not expecting that, if we're being
I wasn't
honest.
either. I legitimately was jumping up and down out of my seat exactly what you just saw. Like this was the one of the biggest shocks I've seen in wrestling for quite some time. And the fact they revived it and how they did it with the characters, having Sister Abigail just right off the bat get censored. It's a new era of the Firefly Funhouse, which that's what I love. It's like when a season of a show ends, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, the next season's gonna be better. Like this is what it felt like to me, and the whole promo of it with Bray, and afterwards, like Ham Show is, I like that still that dynamic of he's this fun-loving Bray, and the Firefly Funhouse is for everyone. And then Howdy comes in, and then once you get that, after he leaves and does his whole "I'm the dark" and whatever thing, and then he
Mm-hmm.
pans and Bray's serious, and that's what one of the dynamics I love about the Firefly Funhouse.
Firefly. I know it's like a tongue twister.
Firefly Funhouse. That is a mouthful.
I know.
Is that it just switches to that dark, very quick to show that, he is that evil guy. And it was so good to bring that back, especially with LA Knight and, just to pop up. It was a great indicator that this is not a one-off. Like we're gonna see this more. This is it's another dynamic to the Bray Wyatt character.
Mm-hmm.
I was in heaven. I literally was on cloud nine.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to see it at all. Like when Bray returned, I assumed that because he was going in such a different direction than the Fiend, that we weren't going to see anything that we've seen before. He did subtle hints, like we talked about, like the rocking chair in the middle of the ring, and even the random clips that'll pop up. It was very reminiscent of the Wyatt family. So it's like there's little things like that, but I really wasn't expecting the Firefly Funhouse to come back. But I'm really intrigued to see where it goes, and the uh direction of what they maybe do with the puppets, because we saw them obviously when Bray originally returned in life-size form. So it just like makes you think, are we going to see that again? Are there really going to be life-size, wrestlers that are actually representations of the puppets? Like, is the Wyatt 5 going to be a thing? I am interested in that. The Wyatt 6. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see that. But I wanted to ask you this because I saw this, and it was a comment on Twitter, I think it was. And it was a compliment to LA Knight, and I don't think that it was necessarily a slight or a dig to Bray, but I'm curious on your take on it because I wasn't sure how I felt. So it was, I think it was in response to LA Knight's promo before his match, and people were saying how great of a talker he was, blah blah blah. And then there was quite a few people saying that they feel like he's carrying their feud right now, the feud with him and Bray. I wanted
That
to ask
LA Knight is carrying the feud between Bray and him.
him and Bray, yeah.
That those people do
So I
not
no, I was
know.
just curious because it
They
wasn't
don't know
just a
what I know.
one person thing. I was like, is this
Yeah,
something
no,
that a
Absolutely.
bunch of people are thinking, or is this just people who don't care about Bray and they're just big LA Knight fans? Like, where is this coming from? Because I think the only way that it would make sense to me is just because LA Knight is being the prototypical wrestler where we see him, he's out in a match, he's like talking the way that we traditionally see a talking wrestler do, and that's not what Bray Wyatt is doing. And so I can only say, like, okay, maybe that's your argument because, Bray is doing a lot of backstage segments or he's doing something random in the ring, but we're not really seeing like a wrestler. But then I feel like you would have to be abandoning any knowledge of what's led us to this point. And so I feel like it just didn't really make any sense to
No, it
me.
didn't. It's a fan who lacks the ability to think critically when I hear that
I
because they
think
can't.
it seemed like someone who likes LA Knight and maybe
Yeah.
not so much Bray to
And it's
me.
because they want to see Bray in a ring, and that's where they're like, "Well, he's not in the ring, so it makes no sense." Like, no, he
No,
doesn't
it makes
have to be
sense.
right in front of him
Yeah.
to deliver incredible promos and vignettes and whatnot. And you want something physically in front of you. You can't just imagine, and that's what Bray Wyatt is getting us to do is to use your imagination. This pitch black match. How excited are you not for the actual match itself, but to see what the hell a pitch
Yeah.
black match is?
Yeah, well, and it makes you wonder if it's going to be a really big deal because it's sponsored by Mountain Dew. So, like, because it's a sponsored match, basically, it feels like they're going to outdo themselves in the production of the match. They're going to be paying more attention to every single tiny detail because it's sponsored. So, like, obviously, they have to figure out a way to make the sponsor happy. So, it's going to have to deliver. I mean, not that it wouldn't if it wasn't associated with
No, I get
Mountain
what you
Dew.
mean.
But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I feel like that's one of the more exciting parts of it. But I also like this is why you can't be upset about Bray not wrestling because now you're waiting for him to wrestle. So it's like that's the whole point. It's the same thing like what we were saying about LA Knight. The reason why he's wrestling with jobbers is because it's like we don't want you to really see everything that he's capable of unless you watch NXT. But as of right now, we don't want you to see anything. So I'm just very excited. I feel like the Rumble card is going to be so good,
I'm so
and
excited for the Rumble. I
I'm
am
I can't
so
believe it's a week away.
fucking excited.
Finally,
I
finally.
have never. I don't think I've been this excited for a Royal Rumble since my senior year of college. And that makes me even more happy for this because I don't know what's going to happen. I can't
Yeah.
predict it right off the bat, which usually I'm pretty good at predicting that type of shit. So if I
Mhm.
can't predict anything, I'm excited. The star power already in the Rumble match, and then you have this match. The star power isn't just the wrestlers; it's the storylines, whatever surrounding them, and then the third thing is just it's the Rumble. Last year's was such a shit show.
Yeah.
And it was very disappointing to me, especially when you have Brock Lesnar and Ronda Rousey winning. I
Oh my
just
god, I
that left a
know.
sour taste in my mouth. And this year, it really feels like a fresh start. That
I
it
know.
legitimately nothing is off the table.
I really hope so from what I've already seen, since we're not talking about the fun house. From what I've seen, Ronda is not going to be at the Rumble, or at least she's not
Thank
going to be in
God.
the Rumble. That's what they're saying. I really hope that Brock doesn't show up. I feel like it wouldn't make any sense anyway. I mean, he can be in the match, but he can't win. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. That seems like a Vince move, not a Triple H move anyway. So I'm not too concerned about that. But I'm more concerned, I feel like, about the women's match because I feel like that has been good, but like kind of underwhelming. And so I'm really hoping for like that to be really good as well because we don't need all of as much as we love the surprise entrance, when it comes to the Royal Rumble, you don't want to overkill with so many because they're not going to win. Like they're just there to get you excited for a second and like get the reaction. But like we don't need only 10 actual active wrestling women like in the
Yeah,
match and like
exactly.
20 random appearances because like no one really cares. Like it's like they do, but they don't. So I'm just hoping that, we get a couple, like maybe some that we haven't seen in a while, because otherwise it's like always the same ones, like the Bellas and Kelly and whatever. It'd be kind of nice if we had maybe someone we haven't seen in a while, but
We don't want the bells there because we
No,
want more active wrestlers. That's the real reason. You brought that.
partially, but
Oh, good.
also
Okay,
but
there you
also
go.
I
There's
feel
a
like
little
they
bit of
need to
honesty.
be, well, not just them. I'm just meaning like there's so many women that they have right now that are really good that it would just be a shame to be like, oh yeah, so and so is not going to be in the match because we're going to have Nikki Bella, or you're not going to be in the match because we have Kelly, something like that. Like, there are these girls who have been busting their butts for years. Like, I would even be upset if like Dana Brooke wasn't in the match because they put a Bella or a Kelly or whoever,
Oh no,
whatever
I
other.
would love to see Dana Brooke like go 20 minutes, 25. That would be pretty
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, I feel bad for her in a way, but
Did you see that promo she gave? I think it was like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, about wanting to give her a chance.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the Rumble would be a good time to give her that chance. If she could go 20, 25 minutes in that match with a few spots of her eliminating someone, or almost being eliminated, but maybe she skins the cat.
Yeah.
I really think that'd be cool. How
Well,
about
and it's
them?
possible that we will see something like that because you know, the Rumble kind of makes stars, it seems like people that you wouldn't think going into it were going to kind of like come out of it being over or whatever. It's possible that we see that with her. So we shall see. But moving on to just another part. It was like nothing super exciting, but something I feel like we should touch on. There was quite a few backstage promos and
There
video
were.
packages. And like I said, nothing too exciting, but kind of interesting. So we first got on with Raquel Rodriguez, who is announcing her spot in the Royal Rumble, saying that she's going to win it because it is her time. It's in her home state of Texas. And she's gonna win whatever. Shayna Baszler basically came in and did the same thing, threatening to break the limbs of the women in the match. And I'm like, okay, girl. And then we had Karrion Kross and Scarlett backstage as well. And Kross was saying that he is going to beat Rey Mysterio next week because Rey cannot decide whether or not he wants to be a family man or the greatest wrestler in the business. And he says that once he is done with Rey, he will be entering the Rumble and winning it. So, I didn't really get excited about any of these, to be honest with you, but I feel obviously they were given that time for those mini segments. So I feel like it was met with a purpose. But again, I'm like, Shayna, girl, you ain't winning. Rocky, girl.
Rocky might win.
I mean, maybe, but like,
well, for people who don't like, she's someone who legitimately could win, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I mean, like, at the same time, like, if Charlotte's going to be champion, do we really want to see Raquel Rodriguez versus Charlotte? I mean, that wouldn't be that bad.
Banger. That'd be a banger.
But I just don't see that being the Mania match with Charlotte, is what I mean. I don't see that, but
I see
it's possible.
Charlotte.
I mean, maybe I would love that because again, is it the dynamic of the like small little Liv versus the giant Charlotte? Yeah. So, speaking of Charlotte, we can go on to that. The last little tidbit of SmackDown, Charlotte and Sonya. I'm not quite invested in this, but maybe other people are. So Charlotte is coming out, and it's still so weird to see her as a baby face because, like, I don't know. It's just weird. I've just got so used to Charlotte being a heel that it's weird to see her come out and be like, yay, and like smiley and stuff. It's weird.
Yeah.
So she comes out to the ring and she calls out Sonya. Then Sonya does come out and she says that she deserves another title opportunity. And Charlotte brings her back to reality and says, girl, you had your title shot and you lost. And not only did you lose, but you tapped out. So you need to get back to get to the back of the line.
Yeah.
And Sonya says, no. You need to recognize that I deserve an opportunity. And Charlotte said, you can do that by going in the Royal Rumble. And if you win, then you can get your match there. Unless you want to fight tonight, then we can have a match. Of course, Sonya says no, unless she puts her title on the line. Adam Pearce comes out and is like, blah, blah, blah. Sonya hits Charlotte in the back of the head and then runs off. So, I mean, I didn't think it was terrible. I felt like it was kind of predictable. Like, you kind of know that that's what's going to happen. And, I don't dislike Sonya Deville, but I'm not interested in this feud right now. I guess maybe until we see like a really, like a good match between them, but I'm just like not interested because it just feels very random to me for it to be Sonya of all people. And we've seen this with her before, with Sonya before. So it just doesn't seem like fresh and new to me. Um, I'm not against the idea of building up another girl in the division though, because we've talked about the SmackDown women's division being kind of shaky right now.
Very
So
lackluster. Yeah.
yeah, so the fact that Charlotte is working with Sonya, who has kind of flown under the radar, I do like and appreciate that. But as far as their feud and the storyline going into this right now, I'm just not invested.
Yeah, I'm really not. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of tuned out of this segment because I just am not into it. I don't think that Sonya is even a threat to take it off her, and I would or I would rather not. I would rather see someone else feud.
Well, see,
I don't
I
care
do.
who.
I think part of it is that people forget that Sonya has like a fighting background. So
Okay,
like,
yeah.
it's like it's similar to like, Shayna Baszler or Ronda Rousey. Like I'm not saying
Mhm.
she had the same career. I'm just saying like,
No, I know
you know,
exactly what you mean. I know exactly
yeah.
what you mean.
So it is easy to forget about that, but I feel like there are maybe more interesting feuds that Charlotte could have, but I feel like as far as competing with her, like in a wrestling level, there's no one right now. Like at least not on SmackDown.
No,
Um,
I'm not.
so yeah, I basically like the feud just for the sake of the fact that it's different. But I'm at this point, I'm just not into the kind of like stereotypical type of feud that they're
Mm.
having at this moment. But other than that, it is what it is. Um, and that was SmackDown, but I do want to talk about because Raw 30.
Wait, we didn't even do the main event.
Oh, the main event. The main event.
We
Sorry,
did
because
not even talk about. Yeah,
okay,
I
you
saved
go.
it for a reason because it was the
Okay,
main
go into
event.
it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Talk about it.
So the main event happens, and your tribal chief comes out.
Mm.
Obviously, Roman Reigns with his titles. Both of them. And what happens? Honestly, Sarah shocked me. I really did not expend both have contributed. Yeah, they have. I did not expect this contract signing to go down the way it did. Obviously, every contract signing in WWE ends with a fighting to some way.
Yeah.
However, this one didn't even get started. Roman came out and he sat down, and then you hear Kevin. I don't even think you heard Kevin Owens' music. He just came out of the crowd and
Yeah,
just
he
started
just like
attacking.
showed up. Yeah.
And it was just like, I'm not kidding you. I just looked away for a second, and they were feuding. It was just right
Yeah.
in the ring, and he
Yeah.
was taking them out, everything. And then I mean, before I jump, he takes the contract, signs it, throws it at Sammy, and gets out of Dodge after he puts the tribal chief through that table. And
Mhm.
the lasting image is Roman through the table, his family around him, and they're looking at Sami Zayn, who is holding that contract signed by Kevin Owens. And that is where we get into our uh, now trial of Sami Zayn. But
Mhm.
I will say, my favorite part of that, and I kind of like this, or this got my mind spinning. I mean, was he had the the armband for Jay,
Mhm.
which
Mhm.
people did in WWE, but you wouldn't see that a lot at WWE. And obviously with KO's history in Ring of Honor and with Jay Briscoe, that kind of got my mind spinning about, what if this new era of stuff, with Sammy and Kevin Owens, and how KO said, get your own bloodline.
Mhm.
What if this eventually turns into, and I mean, when I say eventually, I mean like the next War Games type of,
Uh-huh.
time before. Um, what if we get like WWE versus like indie guys? And this is where that leads to, is it all eventually will turn where you're going to have like, the bloodline versus Sammy, KO, and a bunch of guys who, work their way through the indies or whatever. And
Mhm.
that's where we're going to see that feud go. But that's kind of, I mean, that
That's
obviously
a
was
ways
not.
away.
That's a ways away, and that was
Yeah.
no intent at all of why KO wore the armband. But that's
Yeah.
where my mind goes now with, all right, what's that next step in this? How can they really juice every bit of this
Mhm.
without going too far and making it, forced?
Yeah. Well, what I think is interesting too is Kevin's, like, injection into this whole thing originally, right? And it was like, okay, that's gonna fade out because he's gonna realize that Sammy's not believing him and blah blah blah. Then it became a thing where he was feuding directly with Roman. But what I think is interesting is that he's still around. And I feel like it is going to become something where he and Sammy will be like together again, which I like because I don't know if that was the original plan. Because I feel like a lot of what they've been doing with the bloodline wasn't something that they had planned because we know
Nothing is,
that,
but yeah, nothing
right.
what we're seeing was planned.
Yeah, because of like, the whole thing with Sammy wasn't supposed to last this long. So, um, I think that's kind of what makes it a little bit more interesting too, because like you can't predict it because nothing that has happened has been able to be predicted. And so I like that Kevin is still around and it makes sense why he's still around. And it's not just like, oh, he's, around because of this. It's like, no, he's around because he's feuding with Roman, but like he still hasn't really given up on Sammy, and Sammy hasn't completely eliminated him from the idea of like possibly joining forces with him once again. So I do like that aspect for sure. Um and I am very excited to see Raw. I don't really have a whole lot of predictions. I just think it's going to be a really, really, really good show.
Jazz? You want to see Jazz?
Huh? Jazz? See, Jazz what? Is she part of the bloodline?
Jazz, the former female wrestler.
No, I know.
I think that he wants to see her at Raw 30.
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. It seems like a really random
That would
comment.
be very random. What if she's in the Rumble though?
No. I mean, I guess that would be okay if she was in the Rumble.
Yeah,
But
one
again,
legend.
but like, would she get a reaction? I don't know. I feel like she was kind of
I'd
like,
pop.
no, I'm not saying I wouldn't, but I'm saying like, it seems like they don't bring back a lot of women or from that era,
Yeah,
because it's like,
Vince didn't.
no, I know, but I
I'm
don't
saying
know.
it's a whole new era. A whole new things can happen.
We
But
shall
my
see.
my Raw 30 predictions are it's going to be things that are going on, we'll say, and with that, legend infused shit. To give it, pass it along, make it that much more entertaining in a way. I like the legends on the card. I mean, I saw the mouth of self Jimmy Hart, and that's just incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I also saw Sara, a certain Rotunda.
Oh, I know, IRS. I
The
know.
IRS is
And they also took off the Bellas and put in Medusa and Lita. So
that is talk about an upgrade.
I thought I was kind of surprised about that, honestly, because
Why?
again, it was just very no, I'm just saying like it was just so weird to see them promote people and then be like, LOL, just kidding. Like, and then they get removed because you would think before they promoted them, they had them like for sure booked to be there, and then for them to be like, nope, just kidding, like a few days later. I was just surprised about it. I'm not mad. I mean, obviously if you want to see my thoughts on the Bella twins, feel free to go check the video on my channel, but no, I thought that was cool. I liked that. Obviously I was a big Lita fan, so I'm fine with it. And I mean, when you think about Raw, honestly, when you think about the women's division on Raw, I think
It's
about
Lita.
Lita. Like, I don't think about the Bella twins. Like, I couldn't even tell you which show they were on more, you know? So
That's a
Lita
good
makes
point.
sense though. Some of her biggest matches were against like Trish Stratus on Raw. So it's like,
What did you think of the video package that they put up?
oh, I liked it a lot.
Oh my god, I loved it. It was so great.
I'm really interested to see if we get kind of like a cool intro tomorrow because they were, passing around the intro that they had from like the early 2000, what was it, like 2004 or something like that, and they put
Yeah.
today's superstars in it. So I'm like, that would be really cool if we got like, vintage openings like that or something. Kind of like how they did it when did they do it? When it was like they did that one throwback Raw where everything was like throwback, like even Vince was like in his suit and
Yeah, yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
You know, it'd be kind of cool if they went like full out for Raw
Oh, that
30.
would be so cool.
Because I
You know,
mean, it's going to be a long time. It's another 10 years until they could like really celebrate like
and
another
30 is a big
milestone.
one. You know, and I was
Yeah.
talking about this with my dad, and he's someone who does not, like this stuff.
Hmm.
But we were talking about just the fact that they've been the longest running episodic, whatever the word is, programming on television week in and week out
Yeah.
for
Without an
30
off season.
years.
Yeah. Without an off season.
Without an off season, and it's multiple different TV deals, and
Hmm.
look at where they started to where they are now.
Yeah.
It's really just remarkable. So and at this point, with the current creative leadership in Triple H, as someone who was there for, I would say, all of it,
Hmm.
you at least 95% of it, he's going to give his own little tribute, or hand in it, where he's gonna bring back stuff or reference stuff that you wouldn't have seen in the last one, that will make us that much more appreciative of the product itself. Like, we're gonna get maybe another video package or whatnot, or someone who wouldn't be on TV, but it's to bring back a legend who has a similar thing, and it's like, that's a cool thing. So I'm
Hmm.
very excited for that. I don't think I've been this excited for a Raw in a long time.
Yeah. And I kind of wonder if the whole Vince stuff will be somewhat of a motivation for Triple H to put on like even better shows
Oh,
because
yep,
you
yep.
know, just his presence and all these ideas of him possibly coming back and taking over creative and selling the company and blah blah blah. Like it might be nice to see if he can like be like, no, okay, look, it's in good hands. We don't need to sell it, or you don't need to come back and take over this role. I'm good. And I don't know. I'm very excited because even the matches that we know are happening
So
are
good.
already good. So I'm very excited.
And DX literally runs Raw.
I know.
Like the thing about that is that DX ran Raw when they were in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's picture DX behind the camera with that much more experience, intelligence, their
Mm-hmm.
own little personal quirks to make it that much better. I don't know. I think they could really, really make this into something where they even blow my socks off.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Very
yeah,
exciting.
it's very exciting. It's our SmackDown breakdown. We will be back on Tuesday for the Raw Rewind, which is kind of funny with the current state of Raw rewinding it themselves. But we'll be back on Tuesday to break down things from there. We just had our last podcast episode. Go check that out on all your podcasting platforms, where we talked about our favorite feuds over the
Mm-hmm.
years, and some were in WWE, some were not. So go check those out in the archives and on the YouTube channel, Sarah's YouTube channel. Type in youtube.com/Sarah Marshall XO, and you can find all our past live streams, clips from the live streams, because let's face it, I know you guys don't have, a dedicated hour in your day to, tune into us at this point, but for everyone who does, we really appreciate you. So I've been clipping them up, putting them on Sarah's YouTube, and we've been promoting that. So, we do get our thoughts out there, because we do, Sarah, we make good points. We make really good points in this
I
show.
feel like it.
I know. I mean, we really have a hand on the pulse of the wrestling right now, and it's awesome. I'm excited to keep going with it, and for Monday as well. So go check those out. Follow us on Twitter at Pat_Pitts and at SMarshXO. I'm gonna be tweeting out my thoughts on Raw on Monday
Oh
night. There's
yeah.
no Monday Night Football.
Yep.
So what else do I got? Even if the Celtics or Bruins are playing, there's a second TV, third TV down here for a reason. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna get my full focus on Raw, tweeting out all my thoughts. And I know, Sarah, if I'm tweeting out my thoughts, I know you've already had a couple thoughts already tweeted out. So go follow us for that. Instagram as well, because I do post stories of me with my titles, giving updates on life. Follow me at Pitsy35 on Instagram. And are you S Marsh as well on Twitter?
I'm
or Instagram?
Smarsh_.
Smarsh _ on
Mhm.
Instagram. So go
Yep.
follow us as well. We love the follows, and that's how, you know, we love our peeps. So you know, return the favor. Thank you guys for tuning into this Smackdown breakdown edition of Pitts and Sara's Wrestling Show. God bless. Remember that you can do it. All you gotta do is try. We will see you next episode.